Didn't mean to grab him, but I'm glad I did. Oh God. Oh God. I'm going to start this video with an apparently controversial opinion. Callisto Protocol is a good game. Is it perfect? No. I have quite a few issues with it, but it does not taint the game in my eyes, and I'm looking forward to the sequel if it gets one. But let's get into what the game did right first. The combat system feels fresh and is quite fun. It feels visceral, which is on brand for ex-Visceral devs, and has a good amount of strategy to it. Melee hits have a good weight to them, and the guns give a good crowd control option. The grip is another powerful tool as it enables environmental instant kills to further cut down enemies' abilities to mob you. Basically, you can lift enemies in the air and yeet them wherever you want. Against a wall, over a pit, or into a big industrial meat grinder. Whatever floats your boat. You get a total of 5 different guns you can find, with some being completely missable, with all of them having their own upgrade trees. They basically boil down to 2 shotguns, 2 pistols, and an assault rifle. You could stick with a shotgun and pistol and be completely fine throughout a complete playthrough. I did find myself by the end of the game moving through all the weapons, as some fights can have you just mowing through ammo. Going into the game, I did assume it was going to be somewhat stingy with the ammo, as that's usually the go-to for horror games. Looking at you, Resident Evil. I found myself selling whole stacks of ammo, half for the money and half to clear out my inventory. Inventory management becomes a huge problem, and there's not really much to be done about it. You either gotta use it or sell it, or you'll be constantly throwing things away. The rhythm of combat generally goes with getting a few shots off with a gun of choice, maybe gripping an enemy if you have time, and then move to melee as soon as enemies close in. You can dodge or block virtually anything the monsters can throw at you. There's not a whole lot of enemy variants, unfortunately, but about halfway through they can get the opportunity to mutate. This makes them a way bigger threat, and if any of them pulled it off, I would generally resort to using a lot of shotgun ammo or grip instant kills. They aren't the end of the world, but they are definitely a problem. The other big highlight of the game is the environment and graphics. The game is gorgeous to look at, when it's not stuttering. The lighting and art direction are superb, and every environment feels different. The game is very linear though, but there are side paths to find. The side paths are very easy to miss though, as it's very hard to tell which is the side path and which is the main path. The only real tell is if you see the game hit a save point. That means you're on the correct path, and you should turn around and check the other. The standout area I thought was when you're walking across the surface of Callisto. Snow and lightning storms gave off a very eerie atmosphere, and walking through a field of frozen monsters was very unnerving. Fuck all of this. We're doing so many body checks. Never got tired of looking at the game. It's just a shame it's not fully optimized yet. Here's where I get into the negatives. As I'm sure everyone has heard, the game has had some problems on launch for the PC version. People started calling it the Stuttering Protocol. It was that bad. I did play it on launch day and can confirm how terrible it was. It didn't stop me from playing it for a couple hours, but it was definitely a big annoyance. In fact, I was enjoying the game so much at the beginning that when the first optimization patch hit, I just started over and replayed everything again. Part of that decision was I knew I had missed at least 2 side paths, and I wanted to check them out. It was a very good thing I did, as one of them was a secret lore room, and the other one got me the skunk gun. The first patch did actually make a big difference to the game. Instead of it stuttering every 5-10 seconds, it was only doing it occasionally. So it was playable, just wasn't great. I do suspect I have a higher tolerance for frame rate problems than most people do. I remember playing Diablo 2 as a almost literal slideshow on a computer that could barely run it as a kid. Let that fully sink in on how bad that computer must have been. Combat has some negatives to it, with only a couple things being a bit egregious. I was initially worried about group fights and the combat getting stale over time, with only the latter of those worries ended up being the case. The grip in the environment is definitely meant to mitigate you getting too swarmed, but unfortunately the clunky nature of movement means you can't reposition easily. I felt more mobile in Resident Evil than I do here, and with this game being melee focused, you would expect to be mobile. Couple that with a slow turning speed and your only real option is to fight your way out of it. This would be less of a problem point if the melee system could handle group fights better, and it almost can. If enemies are actually in view, it is possible to dodge their hits, and it does feel great when this lines up.
No one noticed. It's fine. Okay, I shouldn't have gotten away with that. What? Oh, god damn it. Ran out of charge. No, stop it. Stop it. Oh, yes. Okay. Made that work.
However, if you aren't, you're just gonna get hit and you can't really do much about it. To top it off, enemies can grab you and throw you in between a couple of them. There's also this bizarrely designed mini-boss and main boss fight. Despite the rest of the game clearly slanting towards melee being your best option, you do not want to do this against him. You will die. You have to soften it up until it kneels down, and then you can hit it in the face.
Ugh.
It comes off as a bit of a scripted fight, which is unfortunate. This is also when weapon switching suddenly becomes a problem. It's possible to quick swap between two weapons. However, if you need to swap to something other than those two, it's a damn process. Thankfully, it doesn't lock you out of dodging if you need to, but it's incredibly easy to cancel this animation and be stuck with your unloaded empty gun and have to reinitiate the process. When you're running from something that can instant kill you, and the game is making you navigate a pop-up menu, it's a recipe for disaster.
Ah, god damn it.
The main boss of the game is one of the worst boss fights I've ever had to do. It's an unfun slog that highlights all the problems of the combat system. Phase 1 of the fight is actually fine. It's a repeat of a mini-boss fight you had earlier,
Round 2.
where it's just pure melee fighting. You can still use your gun, sure, but it's definitely highlighting all the melee stuff. I guess they wanted to highlight the guns and the grip in Phase 2, as melee is once again not an option here. Unfortunately, they also want you to be able to be maneuverable, and that's a bad expectation here. The boss can one-shot you, has a ranged attack, and can summon suicide bombers that can also one-shot you.
Oh, what? What?
You have to be able to track multiple things and move in ways you've not been able to for the entirety of the game. It's really weird to strip out an entire combat style for your final boss. The fight just comes down to an exercise in kiting and hope.
This is going a little better.
And now we come to the story.
God damn it.
It's just okay. There's nothing special here. The big twists aren't that surprising, and none of the characters are developed enough to get attached to beyond Jacob.
dear.
There's some good world building, and I do look
What just
forward to
happened
seeing
there?
more out of this world. It's just a shame this story didn't do anything particularly exciting.
Miss Nakamura, your journey was especially long, all the way from Europa.
What'd you say?
Even the scares, such as they are, just boil down to jump scares or body horror. I don't mind a good jump scare.
Oh, Jesus Christ, not these things.
They can be fun. It would be nice to get some actual substance in there, though.
Why would I help you?
Well, look, I've been here forever. I've got all the information.
I might be expecting too much, though, having just come off of Signalis. The ending is about what you would expect and didn't feel especially earned. I didn't quite believe the whole change of heart / noble sacrifice they're going for,
Where'd all
and
those
they
come from?
immediately undermined it by it
Yourself.
not being a sacrifice.
Oh, right, she's still here.
Character development as a whole took a back seat here. Despite all my issues, it was overall a fun
Why did
game.
you run that way?
If I had to give it a number, I'd say probably 7 out of 10. There's good stuff in there, and I can see a sequel improving on all the problems I had. In fact, I look forward to it. I hope you get a chance to do more with this world, Striking Distance Studios.
Oh, fuck off. What happens if I just killed myself? Oh,